Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your man, Grandma J, coming at y'all with this video. Long time no hear, long time no see, but I'm here, I'm alive. Uh, I just wanted to make this quick update and topic video for y'all. As an update, today marks my first day of my third month of being leased. I've successfully been in business since March 13th, but I didn't go lease until May. I didn't start driving under my lease until May 1st. I signed it on April 30th. So I'm pretty excited about still being in business. I've only been in a hole one time, and that was negative 300. And to my understanding, that is a pretty good amount to be in a negative versus being in a negative, 1K, 2K, whatever. Hopefully, I don't ever get to that point, and I doubt I will unless I take off some extended time. But for the most part, I've been staying out for 27 to 29 days and coming home for 4 to 5 days with a 5 day max. I usually stay home for 4 days, and that's it. 4 days is usually enough. I've been home now since Saturday at 12:30 a.m. I did put in my home time for Friday, but my dispatcher gave me a load delivering at nighttime on the day I asked to be home. Don't ask me why, but nonetheless, I did make it home. I was quite upset about it at first, but what can I do? I'm here. I'm here now. But as far as leasing, it's still a learning curve. I'm still trying to determine what's best for me to take at the beginning of the week versus what's not good for me to take at the beginning of the week, because I've been in a situation where I took um, you know, two short loads, averaging at about a day. But towards the end of the week, I ended up with a load that I couldn't deliver due to the customer loading me late, and it ended up being repowered, which caused me to lose out on revenue. So that's things that you have to be prepared for on the lease side. Like, anything can happen that can cause you to lose out on revenue. So you really have to be prepared for those things. For those that do follow me on Instagram, y'all know that I pay myself 35 cents per mile, no matter how much I make, and I pay myself $10 per stop for multi-stop loads. And that has been pretty much working out for me. Y'all might say, oh, that's a little bit of money, because on the lease side, it is less miles, more money, depending on the loads that you do get dispatched on. But it works out for me as long as I can pay my bills and as long as I can eat for the week. That's all good for me. All the other money I've been putting aside for taxes and saving up for future things. Um, Other than that, that's the only issue I've been having. I've been averaging at about $800 a week in fuel, which is good. If I could get it lower, that'd be great. But I've been ending up with lows that do cause me to have to fill up my tank, and I like to end off my weeks with at least a quarter of a tank, or end off my loads with at least a quarter of a tank, or like a little bit below a quarter of a tank. That way I can make it to my next fuel stop and stuff like that. I watched LoSean's video on leasing, and I was going to implement some things that he put in there, but the one thing that I didn't too much have a good experience with was taking whatever load that they give you. Granted, I haven't denied any loads. I've mainly denied proposals, not loads that they had already dispatched to me. I don't know if that's the same thing or not, but for the most part, I did have to deny about, I think, two proposals. One of them was because it just didn't seem like a smart financial decision. For example, I believe the load paid like $693 total revenue, and it was like 950 to 1,000 miles. And I just thought that that was like a stupid ass load to take, especially with the area that it was going to. So I just told them, hey, look, I don't feel like this pre-plan is good for me. You can go ahead and give me something else. And they ended up dispatching me on something that was better. So I guess you have to exercise your own discretion when it comes to taking loads that your dispatcher gives you versus denying loads. I mean, that's all up to you. But like I said, I haven't really had to deny too many loads. Um, and I don't come home for extended periods of time. 4 to 5 days is enough for me. But enough of that. Another thing I wanted to touch bases on is I've been having a lot of DMs about whether that people should go lease or company or not, and I'm just going to go ahead and put this in this video. Um, excuse me, I feel like it is very beneficial for you to become a company driver if you're really on the fence. Like, if you already have your mind made up, you already have your mind made up. But if you are on the fence on whether you want to go lease a company, I do believe that it is a lot of benefits to become a company driver first. Just because the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that it's no longer two of you, especially if you're going company and solo. I'm gonna say, especially if you're going solo, it's no longer you and your TNT trainer, which is a team operation. You're solo. So a lot of things that would have taken you maybe 20, 30 minutes with your trainer may take you an hour, maybe a little bit longer than an hour by yourself, and that's killing time. Hooking, unhooking, checking in that guard shack, then checking in that customers, especially those hectic customers that want you to do all of these things at once. It just takes up a lot of time. So like you have to master doing these things in a short period of time to save time, which plays into your hours of service, which is number two. You have to learn your hours of service. You have to master your hours of service because your hour of service essentially determines what loads your dispatcher can give you and what loads he can't give you or she can't give you. If you don't have any time, you don't have a chance to get good paying loads or loads that can potentially pay good because your time is really restrictive and they have to work within the limits of your time, whether that be having you sit and wait on a load that has a open window and it isn't going to be available until the last day of the open window, or whether it be a load that's a short load but the delivery time is maybe 2 days later, like 400 miles, but the delivery time is 2 days later, which is a way for your dispatcher to allow for your time to build back up, especially if you're running off of recaps and your recaps aren't all that great. Once you start running low on your 70 and you run off of recaps, you have to wait until midnight until your time comes back. So all of that plays into your bottom line. You have to save time. You have to know how to run your clock efficiently as a solo driver in order for you to maximize your dollar and to maximize your time being out on the road. So that's another reason why it's beneficial to become a company. Something else is backing. Like backing by yourself is already a daunting task, but backing by yourself immediately off of your trainer's truck, you have the highest potential to hit people's things because you may be nervous, you may feel intimidated, you might not want to ask people for help, and you might make dumb mistakes that you don't make as time goes on and as you experience different docs. And I don't know if this happened with y'all, but this happened with me. Once I got off my training truck and I got by myself, it seemed like I got hit with a lot of the things that I didn't get hit with my trainer. Like I got hit with docs that I had never seen before, blind sides and equipment and stuff in front of the docks, making it harder for you to get into your docks, which essentially plays a part in your time running down. And another thing is terrain. Like you have to get used to the different terrains, driving in different regions, what region you'll be able to get in and out of, and what states you want to shut down in, what areas you want to shut down in. A lot of the times it's not always a good idea to shut down in inner city areas, especially if you still have time on your clock to get out of the inner city. Because if you have to leave at a specific time in the inner city, you might run into that rush hour traffic, which plays into your time. So these things you don't learn in a little bit of time that you're with your trainer. You learn these things as you're solo or as time progresses, and you know where to shut down and where to not to shut down and stuff like that. So these are things that you can learn on somebody else's dime. Like you don't want to be destroying people's equipment, destroying your own equipment, running your time stupid while under lease, because the fixed cost by itself is already a lot. Like my fixed cost, for example, is $1,300. That's APU, all of the things that come out whether you're running a truck or not. $1,300. Let that sink in. I already told y'all I have an average of $800 a week for fuel. So you add the $800 to the $1,300, and now you're at what, $2,100 dollars. So you have to make $2,100 before you can essentially make a profit for yourself. If that is even the case, it's a lot of expenses on this side, and I want a lot of y'all to take that into consideration. Y'all hear the money and it pay great and all of this stuff, but you have to remember that it's a lot of things that you take on, especially with the setup of the lease. solo is hard when you don't have a dispatcher giving you good paying loads all the time. So that's what I want to throw out there. That's something you need to take into consideration. And lastly, another thing is y'all need to stop taking advice from people that have never done things before. Like if someone has never driven company, which I have said multiple times, do not trust them to tell you that you can't make money company, because they have never did it before, so they don't know how much you can make company. Granted, I was on the dedicated, but I have ran solo OTR for a little bit, and I know a lot of people that have been company drivers. So if it's pay stubs y'all want to see, then I can get those for y'all, and I'll just have to blur out people's name. But I don't want y'all to make a bad decision and end up quitting trucking all around, or quitting the company you're at all around because you feel like you aren't making any money, when it could be due to the whole learning experience of everything. Like, decisions I'm making with my experience in the leasing thing can still harm me because I'm still learning the leasing part. So don't add on learning how to perfect your craft or improve your craft while trying to, run a business if you aren't ready. So become Grandma certified by hitting the bell. Join the Grandma family by subscribing. I really hope that y'all understood my message. By the way, I will be 23 in a few more weeks. I'm coming up on that big 2-3. So stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram at _GrandmaJ_ to keep up with me. If you have any questions, drop them below. Hit my DM. It's always open as always. Stay safe, y'all, and good luck to all the people out there.